Forspoken, which also came out this year in January. Hunter, you played Forspoken?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't. That says everything about Forspoken that I think we need to say. Is I thought someone played it, they didn't. Oh well, move on. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends Kyle.
Hello.
And Hunter. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
It's been a slow week for me, dude. Like, genuinely. Oh, there. Thank you for showing up, little icon things. Thank you. That took forever. They've changed the system, so it went a bit pear-shaped. It's fine. It's been a slow week, man. I feel like it's been a bit of a simmer, and I don't know. They're doing it again. Ignore them. It's a disaster. You know, what I'm trying to say is Raincoat destroyed me, and now time is an endless loop. That's what I'm trying to say, is that video game destroyed me, and it feels like, oh my gosh, the alerts are just going crazy. I'm just going to turn them off. It's fine. You know who we are. It's fine.
You know what we do.
You know what we do.
You know why we're here.
We're here to talk about video games. Yeah, I don't know what to do. We'll just move on. It's fine. Raincoat, bloody hell. I've been playing that game. I finished it, and my god, like, that game, Hunter, you're in for a wild ride. And what I mean by a wild ride is there's like one point in the latter half of the video game where I was like, oh, might be going good places, might be having, and then it does the Danganronpa exposition dump at the end, and then you're like, fuck it.
Oh,
Called it.
oh.
It did it better, but it still did it. And then they sequel bait you as well, so it's got all the classic trimmings of everything. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, it's fine. It's all right. Anyway, we're here to talk about the best games of 2023. Will Raincoat show up? We'll talk about it at some point. Maybe. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Is it on my list? Let's find out. It's going to be sad that that's going to be on the list of Final Fantasy isn't, because I still only play the demo. But yeah, we're going to do this week. Hunter's got a cat. So if you're at youtube.com/hotgamersonly, enjoy the content. They may jump up on the laptop and break Hunter's computer. We'll see.
Yeah, it may happen.
But yeah, we're here to talk about every game that's been out in the first half of this year, and we're just going to rank everything. We're just going to go through. We're going to start off. We're going to go month by month. We're going to talk about everything that came out, the goods, the bads. We'll give like a kind of recollection of our thoughts and opinions on the stuff that we've played. And then we'll wrap up the episode by giving everybody a glimpse into what we're feeling right now. What are our kind of top games of the year so far? Because it's been, and I don't think this is a controversial statement, probably the best year in video games, first half of a year in video games that we've had in like half a decade.
While.
I think since 2017. I don't know if it's as strong as 2017, because I feel like 2017 was just the year of genre-defining video games, right? You in the first half of 2017, we had Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, Nier Automata all coming out, and it's just like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but like
that alone, in my own personal taste, is like a very, very good like 3-piece hit there.
Yeah. But I mean, this year as well, you know, you've had massive games and massive remakes and just a load of good stuff. So we're going to talk all about it this week. As we then probably next week look forward into, we'll probably do a fantasy draft update, and we'll also talk about all the good stuff that's still to come. Because it looks like a pretty packed second half of the year. Because, my lord, like I say, 2023 genuinely does probably feel like the biggest year in video games since 2017, and I think by the end of it, it might overtake it in sheer volume of quality video games, because my gosh.
Yeah, I think in sheer volume, 2023 will have maybe 2017 beat. It's just a matter of how to weigh what's good in each of them, you know?
Like, that's the thing, right? It's like everybody's firing on all cylinders, you know? Nintendo has had a huge release. Sony will have a huge release this year with Spider-Man, which 2017 had Horizon Zero Dawn. Forgot to mention Horizon Zero Dawn. Always the bridesmaid, Horizon Zero Dawn. we still love you. But like, 2018 Spider-Man, I absolutely adored. It's like one of my favorite PlayStation games ever, just because it's Insomniac fun with Spider-Man and like perfect combination. So to get one of those this year, to get another Zelda this year, to maybe have a Bethesda game on the level of like Skyrim or Fallout in Starfield. Fingers crossed they haven't dropped the ball with that one. You know, everybody's kind of bringing something to the table this year, and third parties. And meanwhile, Capcom's just out there making remakes that are
The
great.
best games ever.
EA's
Yeah.
gone. EA's gone out of its way to make a good game as well this year. Everybody's just going out on a
Yeah.
limb and just trying to make something good. So we're going to talk all about it. It's going to be a 2-part extravaganza over the next couple of weeks. Also because nothing's really coming out. You can't make me play Exo Primal.
Edge.
I won't play Exo Primal. You can't make me.
Yo, is that game coming out soon?
I don't
Yeah,
care
it's
how
July.
good the people who went to the whatever it's called that Keeley did say it was. They've been brainwashed. It's the only explanation.
I don't believe them. It's like how I don't believe the people who say Foam Stars is a good video game either.
I also don't believe that one either.
I'll believe it when I see it. I believe it when I see it. But yeah, if you're new here, this is the HGO podcast. We're here every Monday at around 5 p.m. UK time or 12 p.m. Eastern. And we talk everything that's going on in the world of video games. You can find us on podcast services just by searching for the HGO podcast or Hot Gamers Only. Or you can go to youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only and look at our stupid faces each and every week. Thank you, as always, for the continued support over the past couple of weeks, month. We are still growing in subscribers. We are nearly at 275 subscribers. So if you can get us over that milestone, that'd be pretty epic.
Right on the cusp of that.
Right on the cusp of that.
2 away.
We've had some pretty big and fun episodes over the past couple of weeks, so if you've missed those, go and check them out. We've talked about Final Fantasy 16, we talked about Master Detective Archives Raincode. We've basically done a first impressions for every main game that we are going to be talking about this week. So if you want to hear more in-depth impressions, you can either, 1, go and look back in the podcast archive and find the first impressions, or 2, because we've been a lot better about this year, you can go and check out the video reviews. We have done more video reviews this year than I think we've done in any other year combined.
It's
So
definitely
like,
more. Yeah, I was about to say it's definitely more than any other year period, and then it might be more than the rest of them combined.
We have 23 reviews, and if I'm right, 1, 2, 3, 4,
I think
5,
11 of them
6,
came
7,
from-
8, 9, 10 technically, because our River City Girls review was late. So literally half of the reviews we've ever
sick.
done have been this year, and we're just getting started. We have a review for Final Fantasy 16 coming extremely soon. We have a review for Raincode Master Detective Archives coming real soon. I might write it, or I might pass it on to Hunter, whoever's the poor soul that has to review that game. That one will be interesting. But those are both coming soon, obviously. And then as we get in to the great calamity that is September, October, November of this year, we've got so many games coming out. It's going to be hard to keep track, but we're going to try our hardest to do reviews for all of them. So if you want to subscribe to the YouTube, just to help show support and make us sure that we know that we're we're on the right track, that'd be really great. We do really appreciate it. And yeah, and as always, we also have the website, hotgamesonly.com, if you want to go and read the reviews. We've got articles up there that we occasionally put out. We've got a load of good stuff on there. Go check that out as well. But that's enough chatting away. Let's get straight into
Let's get to
business.
chatting.
Let's get to just chatting about video games. We're going to go month by month. We're going to mainly talk about new releases, but if there were some remasters or remakes or something like that that we dabbled with, we can just chuck them in and say they were functional, they were good, move on. It's all good. So we'll start in January, which January was an interesting one because there was actually some stuff that did happen in January. Mainly, let's start. Persona 4 and 3 got freedom from everything and are now released on everything. I believe I did check out all of them on, at least on Game Pass on PC, on an Xbox, and we can confirm that that sure is Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, and you should 100% go and buy Persona 4 Golden on whatever you want to go and buy it on. That game is fantastic, and you should 100% not buy Persona 3 Portable and just wait for the inevitable remake that comes out next year. Unless you really want to play FEMC, then off you go. Be free.
With some crusty sound effects and some AI upscaled backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because of the remake. It really isn't a good port of Persona 3 Portable. It's not very good. So if you're waiting for a modern, like a modern
just
platform
wait
to have
next
Persona 3,
January.
wait for the remake and pray that they maybe do a FEMC DLC down the road. Pray for that one, guys, because that's the closest you're getting to that anyway. Speaking of disappointments, next game, we've got back-to-back disappointments coming up, so don't worry. If you
dear God, yeah.
2 nominations already for this came out this year, I feel, let's start with this one. Fire Emblem Engage. And I don't know what to say about this video game other than I remember this was the game that, Imran Khan and everybody was talking about on the same level as Xenoblade 3, where people were like, this game's been in development for ages. It's basically done and sitting on a shelf. And I remember because Xenoblade 3, everyone's like, they've been working on this for ages. It's sitting on a shelf. And we know that it was sitting on a shelf because they pushed it forward 3 months. And they were just like, yeah, just drop it. And then we heard about Fire Emblem. So I don't know why, but when the leaks came out, you saw Pepsi Man and Pepsi Woman, and you were like, okay, this looks goofy. But you were just kind of under the assumption that you were like, Three Houses was rough. But, if they've had enough time to finish it and sit on a shelf, this game must be pretty great. And then it comes out, and my God, I still haven't played past those first 2 hours that I played back in January.
Well,
Kyle, you were the person that played the most of
someone
this
who
game.
has-
Yeah,
I finished this video
you
game.
finished this game. How did you feel about it in the end?
I beat the video game using the same 3 units for every map.
Woo!
And I don't think I paid attention to anybody else in the video game.
I think the main problem with this is, and we had this conversation yesterday, actually, me and Kyle did, where it's like the problem with this game is after Three Houses was pretty lackluster in the game side of it. Like the actual gameplay of Three Houses wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It felt rushed. There were assets that felt rushed. The UI was a bit janky. So for them to make this game and fix a lot of people's issues with the combat and the gameplay, and the UI is a lot cleaner, and to then give it this garbage fan servicey, not fan service storyline with random characters from the past showing up with no characters that are interesting in the slightest. There's some cool designs from characters in that game, but it's like it's all
90%
fluff,
of the
no
character
substance.
designs look like a child just scribbled on the paper and said, "This would be cool. Let's
Yeah.
add this into them too."
It sure does look like a Freddy Fire Emblem.
And just like everybody's just
They
like,
sure
yeah, because it's
are.
like, oh, it's everyone just talks at you like you're this really important person, because I think that, and it's just very annoying. The whole thing is just like the gameplay is fine, and the gameplay is a lot better than Three Houses, but it's like that's the only thing that's better.
Yeah.
Everything else, the personality, the story, the social systems, everything they just ripped out of it. And
Like
it's
everything you'd want to go to a modern Fire Emblem for has been done better in other Fire Emblems.
and I really,
There's really
yeah.
no reason for. I don't want to say there's no reason for this game to exist, but
No, there is.
if you don't,
I'm more than happy to say it. If you don't want to put your head on the stake, I will happily trade places with you. There's no reason for this game to exist, because there is a Fire Emblem game on Switch which is already well loved, and it has a fan base around it, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but a lot of people really love Three Houses, and you should still go and play Three Houses. And from the looks of the sales and how Nintendo hasn't mentioned this game ever again, and they just dumped the DLC out really quickly,
yeah,
this game's not going to be remembered. Everybody's going to think, when they think of Fire Emblem and the Switch, everybody's going to think of Three Houses. No one's ever going to think of Engage. And it just feels like a wasted opportunity. It genuinely does. To the point where it's like, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to that. There are games on my Switch where I'm like, hey, if I'm ever away, or if I'm just like, I could play that. I'm not going to go back to this, ever. Really. It was so bad. Like, it was just so boring. It wasn't even bad. It's just boring. It's the definition of, like, just boredom. It genuinely is. So, it's there.
yeah.
And I praise you for finishing it, Kyle, because my God,
Thank
I
you.
couldn't. It's an achievement.
I don't
to get
know
through
why
that
I
thing.
did. I think it's just because there was like nothing else out at the time,
It's
and
'cause
there
your
wasn't
other
really
option-
anything else I wanted to play.
It's because your other option was Forspoken, which also came out this year in January. Hunter, you played Forspoken.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I was
None of us
thinking about
played
it,
it, yeah.
and then
I
ended up
returned
not.
it.
Didn't.
I returned it. I got the copy in the post, and I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not having that shit, and I sent it back.
You're
None
like,
of
is
us
this a
played
bad
it.
video game?
Yeah. So that says everything about Forspoken that I think we need to say. Is I thought someone played it, they didn't. Oh well, move on.
He picked it up in his fantasy draft, but
I
that's
did
is the
because
extent of Hunter picking up this video game.
yeah,
And all I can say about this game really is, man, like what bad dialogue can do to a video game.
Speaking of
'Cause
games
there you
companies
go.
don't want to talk about anymore,
What?
Forspoken.
Oh yeah,
They
true.
dissolved.
You see Square Enix talking about this game anymore?
They dissolved the team that made it.
They
Yeah.
dissolved Lumines and chucked them into just the regular Final Fantasy stuff. They were like, yeah, off you go.
Uh,
Good
they're
job.
like, oh, sorry, FF15 and then Forspoken. You can't have a
Ouch.
third whiff.
Like,
Ooh.
honestly, what a disaster, man. Like, genuinely. I forgot that game came out, and I'm honestly glad that I did, because I'm never gonna go and play that. I'm so glad I returned it. Like I've played many a mediocre game this year, and I'm so glad that I had the balls to at least take one of them and go, not today, and send it away back to the Shadow Realm where it remains. So yeah, it's there. There was, however,
It's still full
two.
price on the PlayStation Store. What the fuck?
That's good.
It's
If I went
been
to,
it's
if I
been
went
Ew.
to,
slashed. It's been slashed on sales before.
Well, at the moment,
Let me
it's
just have a
full
look.
price.
Let me
It's
have a
like
look.
how mystically one time someone was looking at Resi 2, like one of the 1 out of 10 times it wasn't discounted.
That website's taking forever. I'm just trying to see what it's like, what price it is physical for us. It's sold out of that place, so they obviously didn't want to get any more units there. They sold the 10 that they sold and then went, farewell, get out of my website.
I'm seeing
oh,
$40 at GameStop.
£30 right here, brand new, at the Game Collection in the UK. So if you really want to go and play it, that's less than it was. You also get £10 of reward points currently, maybe. I don't know. So if you want to play it
Hooray.
for $19.99, no, you don't get it. Take that back. You get Bob all for playing Forspoken. Don't fucking bother, guys. Don't bother.
Get Bob all.
I think it's just gonna live in the same kind of realm as the Saints Row reboot of just a game that we
Oh
forget.
my god.
Forever,
Forgot about
you know?
that, yeah.
We're just gonna forget about that forever and
Hell
ever.
yeah. But you know
but
what? Will
alas,
hopefully always be remembered. Hi-Fi Rush.
yeah,
Sure
you know,
will be.
we had a really terrible first little outing of January, but my
Yeah.
god, did the end of January. I say this, it came out the day after Forspoken, right? But you know, my god, what a difference
Look,
a day
sometimes
makes,
all you
guys.
need is a day.
All you need is a day for one of the games of the year, in my opinion, to release. Hi-Fi Rush. What a fucking gem to just shadow drop. Like, genuinely.
Honestly.
I have never been so
Dude,
excited
legit
for a
the
game
most
to shadow
pleasant
drop.
of surprises.
It is genuinely, like, I'm gonna be so annoyed when fucking Jeff Keighley nominates a remake instead of this for Game of the Year at some point. I'm gonna be so fucking annoyed because I have never been
Or like
so
somehow this is gonna miss best score.
yeah, I'm so in love with what this game is, how they released it, and just everything about it, right? The only gripe I have is that Xbox has the audacity to not have released a physical version of this video game, because I would have bought a physical version of this video game in a
I
heartbeat.
don't even have a Xbox console, and I would be debating just buying the box of it.
I hope one day they just do. I hope
I'm
one
in a
day
very
they just
similar
do.
situation with when they eventually release Senua. I might just buy a box for that too.
I'm hoping they do, or they do something like Fangamer or Limited Run work with them or something, just to make it a print of
Serenity
it. Because, my
Forge,
God.
one of those, you know.
Yeah. Because it needs it. Because I've never been so in love with a video game where I'm like, everything, the way it looks, the art style, the fucking the way it turns a game genre that I don't really care for, like a hack and slash, and mixed it with something that I adore in a rhythm game, and fuse it perfectly so that it just works instantly. It's just so good.
Dude, it's so good. It's just it brims with personality.
The way the anime cutscenes fuse perfectly, and like they swap between these animated cutscenes and the actual game just fluidly during the game, on beat as the soundtrack carries on. The way that they just
everything about the world is on beat.
The way the world moves on beat, and it's just such a. It honestly was so brilliant and so fucking unique.
What an ambitious task to make happen.
Yeah,
right? Like it's I don't want to be dramatic, but the only the comparison that jumps to mind is like it's similar one of those things where maybe someone wouldn't notice unless you point it out, like the God of War camera, you know.
Yeah.
it's like that, and it's really cool. Like it just it's
I
so
think
good.
it's like it's a 10-hour game that, unlike a lot of hack and slashes these days, I'm looking at you Scarlet Nexus, I'm looking at you fucking Bayonetta 3. I'm looking at these games that go on for way too fucking long. This game just was like, hey, I'm like 8 to 10 hours long and I'm fucking done. I'm out of here. Like 8 levels, I'm done. Goodbye.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
fucking, you nailed the assignment. And we're not even talking about just like the fun story. I thought that
The
like
fun
I thought I wouldn't
story.
even give a shit about the story, but it is a really fun story, and it's not like groundbreaking, but it's really fun.
No,
And
but the characters really sell it because the characters just ooze personality. The performances are great, and uh, yeah, it's just
or just
everything's
like
really easy to enjoy.
all the voice acting and performances in this game are fucking phenomenal. Every character, whether it's Roger Craig Smith, whether it is Robbie Damon, whether it is Erica Lindbeck, whether it's anybody that's in that video game, they're all perfectly cast and they just fucking bounce off each other wonderfully. Where it's just like, it just, that game works on so many levels.
They do comedy writing without it sucking, which
Yeah.
is a very tall order for high budget video games to
Nowadays.
do these days. Yeah.
And it's just
Um,
like I say, it's just always fun.
I'm gonna reason with it.
It genuinely is. It's always fun, and I love it. It just, I look at Microsoft, and then you look at their back catalog, and you see shit like Forza, and you see stuff like Gears, and you see stuff like Halo, and you go, "Wow, the most personality you have in your video game portfolio is Forza Horizon, which is just the wacky Forza, right? Because then you occasionally do a Lego or a Hot Wheels or expansion, or they're doing like bringing the
Yeah,
Barbie car from the movie into the game, or whatever. You're like, oh, quirky stuff like that.
nice.
But to see stuff like Hi-Fi Rush, right, come out, to see something like Starfield, and to just go like, you can tell that that's just a Bethesda game that Bethesda wanted to make. To see stuff like Hellblade get made, to see even stuff like, I don't like the way Avowed is looking out, because I originally just thought it was going to be like a Skyrim thing. It looks like it's a completely different thing, but it's going with its own personality, stuff like that. I'm like, you're starting to diversify in a way which makes it look better, and I'm happy that you're doing it. And I'm glad that Hi-Fi Rush did so fucking well. Please make another one of these. I would love to see another Hi-Fi Rush. I genuinely would. Please
I
make
would
it.
be so like a few years from now, there's gonna be an announcement, and people are gonna pop off, and it's gonna be great.
Dude, genuinely. Like, I assume that it's like, I don't think they'd need to shadow drop it again, but if they really want to,
Probably not.
because if they wanted to generate hype, they could just make an announcement for this and have it come out 6 months later, and people would be there day one. Like, I love Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant. I think it should be nominated for Game of the Year, and I think it'll be an outrage if it doesn't. I'm not saying it's going to win or anything like that, but it'll be there with Xenoblade 3, where I'll be writing in the fucking streets if this does not get a nom by the end of the year. Because there are games that come out later that have been great. We'll talk about it in a second, like stuff like Dead Space. But I would like, we should be promoting this kind of shit more, instead of just the remakes and the remasters and the same shit different fucking day things. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. Give this game a nomination, Jeff. I swear to God. I'm coming to your house if you don't, mate. I'm coming to your house in Minecraft, because that's not a real threat, YouTube. Please don't demonetize or whatever. Shadow ban us. Thank you. Anyway, let's talk about Dead Space, because that did come out this year, and it was a
It
fantastic
came
remake.
out like the following week. It was
Yeah.
it was a real nice, like it went from just spinning my wheels playing Star Wars
It
games.
came out 2 days after.
It
Yeah,
did.
spinning my wheels because Star Wars was free on PS Plus or whatever and whatnot, to playing Hi-Fi Rush for a couple days, and then Dead Space came out, and I was like, "Ooh, yay!"
We genuinely went from up shit's creek without a paddle to literally like amazing
The
video games
emergency
coming out
helicopter
instantly.
dropped
Yeah.
in like the next second. It was hilarious.
We had just been in a plane crash, and they actually found us. The fucking helicopter found us, and they rewarded us with 2 brilliant video games back to back. Thank God for that. But no, great remake.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it took all the nice things about Dead Space and, polished them up, added some cool story segments that, just tie everything together better. Took one of the glaring flaws of the original version was this annoying turret set piece, and they made that substantially better. It is, I believe, the best way to play the game now.
100%.
It was already one of the best horror games ever made, so big thumbs up.
Yeah, this game is real good. I also tried it out. Didn't play the original, but honestly, I caught onto caught onto the basic gist of the gameplay pretty quickly. I didn't finish it, but I enjoyed my time with it.
You sure did like the saw blades though.
The saw blades were neat. I didn't know
Yeah.
about that. I literally knew nothing about this game, but when I picked it up,
Yeah.
but yeah, for just goes to show, even for a newcomer, you can still have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
These remakes aren't just for the people who liked the old thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love that it's like we're getting to that point where people are remaking or remastering stuff. I feel like a lot of the times some developers are doing it with the wrong intentions. They just want shit out there just for the sake of having it out there. Or, they're like, oh, this will get us some brownie points so we can fuck up later. Like, that's what this game feels to me, is like, this is an EA brownie points moment so that when they fuck up something later in the year or next year, they can go, but we make single player games like Dead Space, guys. Look, we make good stuff. It's not Capcom.
Yeah.
I don't trust them with anything. Like, EA, well done, you made one good game. I don't trust you again. Especially, we'll talk about Jedi, right? But it's like, I still haven't played Jedi because that game I've heard is fantastic, but my god, it could have used a couple more months in the oven. Like, we'll talk about it. But anyway, that was basically January. There were other stuff, but we didn't really
Yeah,
play
pretty
much of it.
much.
So,
It's all the big stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got to February. And February was a very quiet month. Not a single video game come out in February, guys, especially not a controversial one. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Metroid Prime Remastered on Switch. Haha, got him. I played this a little bit. Hunter, did you play it?
I played all of it. I liked it
good.
quite a bit. I thought it was a nice little like as far as bringing. I had only played the Super Metroid and Dread up to that point, and so Metroid Adventure in 3D, it does what I would have wanted it to do. All the nice things about I liked about the previous Metroid games that I had played were present, and did cool space things.
See, I played it, and it's like I understand. Like I was playing it, and I'm like, this is a good game. It's just not for me. And I was like, I played about 4 hours of it, and there's something that is like, I like 2D Metroid. I played Dread. I liked it quite a lot, and I think what I liked about it was that it was like 4.5 hours, 5 hours long, and it was like I played it in a day. And I just kind of, was sitting there. I was watching something on the side. I was doing other stuff, and I was just, just playing around, having fun. Oh, I'm stuck. There's nowhere for me to go. Well, let me open up my 2D map, and it's very easy to try and work out where I should be going next. Then when it comes to something like 3D Metroid, it's a similar vein, but it's like 3 times the length, and I don't have the fucking, like, the will to go through a 3D map because it's slower. It feels slow. And I'm like, that's
It
cool.
was
There's
a little
so much,
slow to get from place to place.
there's so much atmosphere. There's some really interesting stuff, but to me, it's just too much of a slow burn.
One of my favorite things was the log books that you could read because, like, that was a lot of fun to just read, especially the space pirate stuff, because it's constantly like details about how Samus has been ruining their lives since she got there.
Yeah.
For their whole operation. Like, oh, this is great. This tickles me.
But yeah, it's like it didn't really do anything for me, but I still respect what they were doing, and I'm still like, that's a good video. And I do have the feeling that it's like, I feel like with some more modern sensibility, some faster movement, I really hope that's what they've learned from Metroid Prime 4 is give us some fun
better
shit.
checkpointing, I would accept.
Oh, the checkpoints
too,
are fucking
'cause,
horrendous. That was my biggest. That's why I stopped playing. It was I did a whole
I got
section for
owned
half
a
an hour.
couple of
Died.
times in like the middle of the game where I got the business given to me by some space pirates and like I don't remember where I was. I think it was in part of the snow area.
There's an area where you go into a lab, and it's where you.
And then suddenly the actual Metroids showed up. I'm like, oh man, everything's just going belly up for me right now.
That was
I haven't
the area
saved in like half an hour.
that is the area that I died in and stopped playing, was when the actual Metroid showed up, and you have to kind of, the alarm starts going off and you have to leave the area, and I died right at the end of leaving the area, and then it took me right before I even entered it, and I was like, fuck this, I'm done, get me out, like, not going back.
That was not a great time for me when seeing those. I was like, uh-oh, I don't have the means to deal with you right now.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. So yeah, again, It
Yeah.
was like it's a good game, but you can feel it, and I feel like modern sensibilities like faster movement, a better map, some better guidance, and maybe some better checkpoints would nicely polish those kind of things up. So I'm looking forward to Metroid Prime 4 in the year of our Lord 2029. We'll enjoy it then
On the Switch 3.
on the Switch 7. Yeah. Um. Anyway, there was then a video game that no one played called Hogwarts Legacy. It was pretty
Oh,
stinky.
you actually want
Um,
to talk about this?
no, all I want to
Okay.
say is, my God, never have I seen people give a shit about a video game so damn much for it to then no one talk about it a week later and no one talks about it ever again. Like, I feel like this
Yeah.
game was a stink on the wind. And here's the thing, right? As someone who used to be a fan of Harry Potter, as someone who likes Harry Potter as a brand, well, no, I don't like it as a brand, but as someone who likes it as a world, I'm not even playing it because, like, it's not like I wouldn't even if everything was fucking rainbows and butterflies and everything was peachy in the world, I still couldn't be asked to play that fucking video game. Like, there's something about that game where it's like the first couple of hours are really interesting, and then it turns into a generic Ubisoft
open
open
world
world.
game.
See, from my own observation, because I do know people who did play it, and saw some of it, it looks like if the IP, like if living inside of the Harry Potter world isn't the only thing you've ever wanted from a video game in your life, then it's not going to do anything for you.
And here's the thing, I don't know if it is the bitterness of the IP now because of She Who Shall Not Be Named. But I don't know if it's the bitterness of the IP or anything surrounding that, but it's like, even as someone who, if you had told me this 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that this video game was coming out, and I would have been excited for it, I still probably would have fell off because it turns very extremely generic.
Yeah, to me, it sure does look like a
Instantly.
video game where you cast magic.
It also just doesn't, like, to me now, being a man of culture who has played better video games, when you say living your life at Hogwarts,
Like
I'd
Crash
want
Team
more of
Rumble.
yeah, like Crash Team Rumble. I'd honestly, if you were like, okay, you want to do a Hogwarts game, I would genuinely want something that more had like a social system, like a Persona or something, where you actually felt like you were in that world instead of it just being hey, you're a student, go piss about in a generic open world. I'm like, no, take me to classes, have
Or
us
maybe
go through
even
an
like a
actual year of Hogwarts and have shit go down, but then like expand upon it. I'd rather have something that is more semi-open than just this, oh, here's a castle that and then a fucking big off fucking field that's shite.
But Ethan, that's not what the checkboxes tell us to do.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's a real shame. And I do feel for the devs, right? I genuinely feel for the devs that they are stuck in fucking Pandora's box of a shitty video game where it's like, they tried their hardest. They made a game that was it's not a terrible video game. It's just extremely generic, and then just have all the pile of shite on top of it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
just
a
a
great
series of
situation to
unfortunate
be.
events
Yeah.
for them.
And it's
That
a
would make a
shame.
At
really
least
good
not
adventure
at all
game.
helped by the IP's creator.
Definitely not. And it's like, it's a shame for Warner Brothers because I don't feel bad for $1 trillion company, and I definitely don't feel fucking bad for David Zaslav. But it's like, that's
Yeah.
their best game that they've made in the past 5 years, right? When you look at what the other two degenerate studios are doing with Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, fuckers playing with, fuckers throwing Lego out the pram and playing with Play-Doh, like, what, like, genuinely, like,
Not even like fresh Play-Doh, like the
the
hardened
the
stuff.
hardened
Play-Doh.
stuff, yeah, the hardened stuff that
That's
the
mixed
weird kid
together.
ate, yeah.
That's had the colors mixed together, so it doesn't even look good. It just looks kind of like
It's just
Murky,
brown.
yeah, the murky
Yeah.
brown Play-Doh. I genuinely,
That's what this game is. It's murky brown Play-Doh.
I genuinely feel bad for them, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's still not out on Switch. There's still probably a little bit of the shit show left to go, and I'm sure there'll be another shit show because they will 100% make a sequel about it. I just wait and pray for the day that someone gives her a shitty bag of money to just make her disappear, because I know people don't like that idea, but I'm just like, you know what, might just be better to fucking just get the fucker out, because then she can go and scream all of her trash rhetoric somewhere else and I don't have to care.
like Mars or something.
Yeah, it's fucking Any submariners, guys?
The bottom of the ocean.
My God.
That was a joke. Submarine in Minecraft YouTube. I'm sorry, that was a joke. Please. But man, it wasted potential, dude. Wasted potential in just a whole shitty situation. And yes, none of us played it. Good job, everybody. We were all on the right side, even though we didn't do it from a moral standpoint. We just didn't want to play
It
it.
just
And
looked like a
also,
lame
Hunter and I
game.
don't like Harry Potter.
they don't like Harry Potter, and I was like, I don't like J.K. Rowling, so I guess we're done here. Like, it's not hard. It's not like someone was
Go
like, you can't.
team.
Yeah, it's not like someone was like, you can't see your family again. It's just like, it's a pretty shitty thing for you to play the Harry Potter game. I'm like, fine, I won't. It doesn't bother me. I'm fine.
I have a whole backlog to go through. I can live without one game.
I've played enough shitty Harry Potter games. I could go back to the PS2 ones if I really wanted to play them that badly. Jeez Louise. Bro,
Honey,
anyway.
we'll go play Lego Harry Potter.
Oh, great. Don't get me started on that thing. I still had nightmares when one of the students in peril glitched and I could never get the platinum trophy. I'm still bitter about that. That's the real reason. No, it's not. I kid. Anyway, there were a load of games that came out in February. A lot of smaller things, right? A couple of
play any of them?
remasters. Atomic Heart came out,
came
dropped
out.
like a
Oh,
fucking...
I played about 2 hours of that, and then Signalis was delivered to me, so I stopped.
What was this?
Atomic Heart was
Heart.
the Russian
Oh, yeah.
Bioshock game that had the Forspoken dialogue that I thought.
Oh yeah.
My main takeaway was, oh, that bullet I thought I dodged by not playing Forspoken has found me now.
I keep getting Atomic Heart mixed up with the game another game that came out around the same time called Wild Hearts, which was like a Monster Hunter.
Oh, that was the
clone.
name or the
People thought that one was all right. Wild Hearts, people thought
Yeah.
Wild Hearts was all right. People,
Yeah.
I don't... I know this might feel bad. This might be a bad thing to say, but I would never trust somebody's video game opinion if they said to me that Atomic Heart was like a good game or like their favorite game of this year. Then their opinion would instantly, to me, go into the gutter. Mainly because of
the hit detection was
Yeah.
off in their first person shooter game.
the hit detection was off.
Oh,
There was the
no.
weird, just everything about it, like the weird metal fucking women who are very clearly made for a certain audience, and you're just sitting there. Everybody else is just sitting there going, "What
I
the
didn't
fuck?"
even get to that part, thankfully, but some of the world was cool, but it was also none of the world that was being presented right in front of me. It was the
And don't
stuff
get
I
me
just
wrong.
kind of happened to look in the corner
I
and find.
love bizarro, alternate world fiction, whatever stuff. You know, you're looking at someone here. I love like stuff like, you know, weird shit. I love Bloodborne. The Lies of P. When they said that was a thing about Pinocchio, I laughed and went, "That's fucking genius. It's so dumb. I love it." You know, like I'm all for weird
Can't wait
shit.
for Pinocchio to be the final boss.
Dude, yeah, I can't wait for your nose to grow that big that it becomes a sword in the final boss and he rips it off and then you dual wield and then that's the fucking ending. Can't wait. Anyway, Like a Dragon
Sounds
Ishin
incredible.
finally...
I'm gonna be so sad when that doesn't happen.
Yeah, same. Like a Dragon Ishin came out. It was a remaster, basically a remake of like that game from ages ago that never came in. People liked it. The PSVR 2 came out. Who remembers that, dude? Fucking hell. So glad
Not PlayStation.
so glad I didn't buy that as well. Horizon
And
Call of
with
the
it came
Mountain.
Horizon Call of the Mountain
You did climb a mountain.
in Horizon Land.
Also, speaking of something that I don't think I've seen anybody ever recall, Kirby's Return to Dreamland came out in February. The remaster of that. I don't remember
Oh,
anybody
right.
ever saying a single word about that. There you go. That came out.
I drafted it. It got like an 80, and I moved on with my life.
The main big game for the nerds this month that came out was Octopath Traveler 2 for Switch, PS5, PS4, and PC. Man, what a video game, eh? What a video game.
pretty good.
Absolutely great video game. It took
Solid.
everything I loved about the first game, kept all that shit, took everything that didn't work in the first game, improved it.
And I think the biggest suggestion I can give is if you have been one of those fuckers who's been bitching about Final Fantasy 16 not being
a real
an RPG, there you go. You've got your old school Final Fantasy right there. Octopath Traveler 2 is brilliant. It looks incredible. It plays
Like the
fantastic,
Octopath
incredible.
games are just a love letter to old school JRPGs.
And I think Octopath 2 kind of fixed most of the qualms and problems that people had with the original Octopath to the point where it's kind of become I hope they continue to make these games because they're fantastic. And I know for a
Me
lot of
too.
people, this is like their game of the year for a lot of people. They've really enjoyed it. I know Jason Schreier fucking loved this video game. And I'm like, if people are enjoying it, I haven't got a chance to play it yet. I own both of them. Maybe one day I'll get to them.
Dude, you should. What are you doing in July?
I'm playing Final Fantasy 16 and Star Wars Jedi. I've got a backlog.
Woo!
Maybe in September when I'm
Ah.
away, I might play it on the Switch. We'll see. But great game.
Yeah.
Happy
love
that
it.
Square is making some good stuff. They're making a
Now,
lot of
where's
good
Dragon
stuff, but they
Quest?
also make a lot of shite. Fucking Dragon Quest 12's not coming out for another 3 years. We all know it.
What about Dragon Quest 3?
Yeah, where's
And
the
I do want to
HG2 game they
I do want to
promised?
give a special shout out to Destiny 2 Lightfall. Haven't played it, but I've heard it's the worst expansion in Destiny history, so I feel like that deserves a big shout out. Especially because the last one, The Witch Queen, was the best expansion in Destiny history. So the fact that they went from the best to the worst, fucking great job. Do you want to know how bad it is, guys? The first cutscene and the last cutscene both spliced together, and it looks like they took the cutscene that was supposed to be the start of the actual expansion and split it in half so that they could fill a fucking filler expansion in between the cutscene. How great is that? Thank you, Destiny. That's great. You love to see it. Anyway, on to March. There were no video games in March. There
Not at
was,
all.
but there
Hunter,
wasn't
did you
anything.
play Wolong?
I
I
played
played the
it.
demo for Wolong for a
Yeah.
couple of hours and went, that's pretty cool. Don't really have time to play any more of it though, so
It was a month of
Nice.
games
Sorry,
that
chat.
were it was a month of games that were fine, like there was stuff that was in it that was like
No,
not
it had
terrible.
Peppa Pig's World Adventures.
Yeah, I like that.
Uh,
To be fair, that gives
Great game.
that gives my vote for the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The clip where Peppa Pig is jumping in muddy puddles with the Queen, and then it fades to black, and then it just comes up, "Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II." With the Peppa Pig image of her, not even an actual image, that is like peak fucking history right there, dude. And then I just
Yeah.
remember the interview afterwards, and they were like, "We had to pay our respects," and it was just like,
oh man.
oh,
Oh, God.
fucking love it! Like genuinely, what an incredible achievement in video games right there. But
The
there was
best
some
2 seconds of video games this year.
like Wolong, pretty great game. Like it was a pretty fine game. It wasn't terrible, but it was pretty good. I heard that people like Bayonetta Origins, Syriza and the Lost Demon. People thought that was fine. No,
I forgot
Nothing
that
bad.
came out.
Chia,
Was okay.
Hunter, you played it. It was fine.
Yeah, it was
Um,
all right. Have a Nice Death came out the following day. I didn't finish that yet, but I did make it to the final boss a couple of times, and it's cool. It's got a nice little personality to it, and it's a nice little thing if you like the roguelikes and the 2D action
Yeah.
stuff.
And I think the biggest release of the month for most people was this little game called Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot this came out this month. I
I
thought
forgot
it was April.
I thought it was in April as well, but it wasn't. It was March.
Yeah.
And
Go team.
we all played it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was great.
It was good.
it was great.
I liked it a lot.
Nathan,
was
this was your
good.
first Resident Evil.
It was my first Resident Evil.
How'd you feel about it?
I think it's great. I think that here's the thing, right? If here's the thing, right? I think it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant. I think it's suffers from being too long. I think there are parts of that game that didn't need to exist and are a bit padded. I feel like if those bits were taken out, then I would put it above Hi-Fi Rush. I think those sections, though, are that boring that there's parts of that game where I just go, okay, can we get to the fucking point? And it's like, it's fine. Then there's a lot that I love, right? But it's like the creepy atmosphere of the village and all of that stuff. I love that. The first third of that video game, I think, is like fucking perfection.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think the first third of Resident Evil might be the best thing that I played this year. Then the second 2/3 really suffer from there's a good third between them, and there's a lot of bloat. Where I'm like, there's some cool areas, right? You've got like, I'm not even talking like about the Ashley section. I actually like the Ashley section in
I
the
thought the Ashley section
Yeah.
was fine.
in the
yeah.
castle. It's mainly just the walking about, or it's the stuff like it's like how there's like that whole hour of the bit where you've got like the maze and stuff like that, and that all takes like way too fucking long. Or there's the bit with the insects, which I'm like, can I fucking
Yeah, could have done without that.
could have done
Um,
without that. Some of the bits on the island I think are fantastic, like with the weird gummy bear fucking lookers, like the
the
slimy guys, the
regenerators, yeah.
regenerators.
Yeah.
That shit's really cool. I like the way it ends. I think the set piece at the end is fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But there's
They made
so
that
many
final boss much better.
there's so many bits of that video game where I'm like, man, it's 17 chapters. If this was like 14 chapters, this would be like my game of the year. It's just there's too
yeah.
much kind of
It's a funny
shy.
situation because, you know, if I were to examine the original versions of both Resi 2 and Resi 4, I think I would slightly have given the edge to Resi 4. Now that they've both been remade, I think it might be a matter of just kind of for my own taste. I do like the more connected classical Capcom level design of Resi 2, and I think I still kind of very slightly put it over this remake of 4.
And
They're
don't get me
both
wrong, it's
still
like I still love the
fantastic.
game. I still love the
Yeah.
game to pieces. I think it's fantastic. There just is a bit too much bloat, where it does feel
Yeah.
like the middle starts to drag a bit, and I don't know. It's like I wish that it just felt I would. The fact that you have to replay it like 6 million times to get the platinum has put me off. Not because I don't love the game, it's just because it's like I could play the first village, I could play the village section over and over and over again and be perfectly happy doing that. It's just when you get to those down sections, right, where it's just like, okay.
Yeah, there are
God.
a couple of spots that in the other two parts that I could have done without.
And they're still
like
good, but they
yeah.
just last a bit too long.
Like there's definitely parts of like as far as just walking around and enjoying the vibes of, I do really like the castle. It's just like certain segments, especially towards the like the big chungus that's in the armor that's throwing the boulder at you.
Oh fucking hell.
Like really,
or just like there's that room.
you could have kept the Napoleon statue and axed that guy.
Oh,
in my opinion,
the fucking section where you have to go into like the 4 different rooms or whatever, and they're just like the bridge drops down, and you got to deal with all the fuckers and stuff like that. Just like very slow gameplay. There's that one room before Salazar's like throne room where there's just like 6 million fuckers, and there's like 2 corridors, and I'm just like, there's like. I'm like, okay, I get it. You're trying to ambush me here and try and take it. But I'm like, it's just annoying because you just don't die quickly. Like, the enemies, I have the bullets. You're just taking too long to die. And it just gets a bit kind of bloated. But I still had fun, and I still like it quite a bit. I will probably one day check the rest, when I say the rest of the Resident Evils out, I'll probably check out the 2 and 3 remake eventually. It's not high on my list. But I will.
And I'll come back to this game whenever the Ada DLC wants to drop.
Same, and I still do want to go back and platinum it at some point. It's just I'm not in the mood to grind through playthroughs and playthroughs and playthroughs. It's a long experience. It's pretty long.
One thing is like the core moment to moment gameplay is super satisfying, as I was reminded of when I played the Mercenaries update that they did. I was addicted to that for a weekend. I recall, like the month after it came out, I was like, ah ha ha, I'm gonna kill everybody with my knife, and that'll be it.
And here's the thing,
it's gonna be awesome.
I think the story is fantastic. I love the story. I love the performances. I think all of that is fucking perfection. It balances this line between cheesy and cinematic, and I love the way that it kind of just nails everything, where everything
redressed a very nonsensical story to actually be cohesive.
Yeah, it's really well done, and I love that. But it is, and it's just like I do feel nothing ever quite hits the same way as that first village scene, where every shit's going loose, and especially like me, who's never played a Resident Evil game in his life, didn't know anything about Resident Evil 4, shitting himself running away from that guy with the chainsaw and like trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Nothing ever hits on that level again, and it's just like,
oh yeah, it's a bummer that in my opinion, the remake, the Regenerator didn't hit quite as well in the remake. I think the wind up to it in the original game was a little better, in just the way they sold it to you and the journals you were finding, and he didn't make a weird little moan the second that you stepped into the area that contained him.
Yeah. It's
not even the room that had him, like the general area. I heard the guy, I'm like, really? Why you gotta show your hand like that already?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. There's like I say, I love that game a lot. It's just the pacing's a bit kind of. We'll talk about it later with Raincoat. It's not as bad as Raincoat, I'll give you that much. But it's like pacing can really sometimes kill the tone of a video game. And I know that's rich from the guy whose favorite video game 6 million hours long and doesn't know when to fucking quit, right? But it's like that game keeps up its pace.
I mean,
even
it
though it takes
manages to
forever.
leave me wanting more when I finish it. So
The whole franchise does. Like that's like it's got an addictive gameplay loop. And I do, like I say, I loved it. It was fantastic. It was brilliant.
yeah.
But just a little couple of nitpicks. We could remove a couple of chapters, guys. We could have removed a couple of chapters. It's like my dad's playing through it right now, and he got through the end of chapter 1. And he's like, "Wow, that was really long." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's 17 of these fuckers. Have fun. You're gonna be here a while." But brilliant game. Capcom, keep doing what you're doing, please. That'll be the true miracle. If you can turn Resident Evil 5 and 6 into games people properly love, not just ironically love, that will be the fucking that will be
It
your
will be
greatest
interesting to see what they do with those two.
Oh yeah, I'd love for them to kind of keep the co-op at some point. I feel like that would be funny.
That would be neat. Like co-op mercenaries.
Yeah,
The co-op mercenaries wouldn't bother me. That was entertaining in its own right. I feel like for 5 they really should like just split the 2 characters into separate campaigns. Though,
Yeah.
like, with
also, yeah,
Like
Claire
and Leon and Resi 2.
And then there were some other games that came out that we didn't really ever touch on, really, like Dredge. I know people like Dredge quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I haven't played Dredge yet, but it's on my list of things that I want to get through at some point this year.
And
it looks cool.
Yeah, before we get to April, I do want to say I forgot a game in January that I did want to give a shout out to because it's not on this fucking GameSpot list. We should have used Wikipedia, goddammit. Pizza Tower.
Trust the boxes.
Pizza Tower came out in January and I didn't talk about it. That game's fucking
really?
brilliant. That game is fucking. I've only played like a couple of hours of it and was like, I'm gonna buy this on
waiting
Switch
for the console version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for the console version. But man, that game is fucking great. Like genuinely,
yeah.
indie game. Jeff,
really
I
cool.
swear to God, if that's not nominated for indie game, like Jesus Christ,
We're
rigged.
fighting.
Like we are fighting. I am going to LA, and I'll be like that guy that went up during the Game of the Year speech. But I'll be like, where the fuck is Pizza Tower, Jeff? Where is it? It's pizza time.
Where's my pizza, Jeff?
Like, honestly, what a game. And congratulations to the people that made that, because my God. Those games are really fun. Looking forward to Anton Blast as well, similar kind of game. Those games are just fun. I love fun platformers. People should make more fun 2D platformers. Like, it's like people looked at Celeste and went, "Oh, that's a great video game. Let's
That's a great
not
game.
make
Let's not do it.
Let's not do that." And then thank God for the guys that made Pizza Tower and Summit Sphere who make an Anton Blast were like, no, hang on a minute. We can make other 2D platformers that play different to Celeste and still a ton of fun. Like, thank God. I want more of that. Please. We don't have to have a Celeste or a Donkey Kong 2D. There's more to 2D than that.
There can be more to life.
Than Celeste and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and a bit of Mario here and
true.
there. New Super Mario Bros. New Soup.
New soup.
Anyway, did anything come out in April?
I think that's when Star Wars came out, but
At the end of the month,
Hang
yeah.
on. Yep. We had God of Rock. We had Minecraft Legends. We had Coffee Talk 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. That came out in April.
Oh, right. That came out right before. Coffee Talk 2 was great. I liked it.
It was very good. I like parts of it more than the first one. I think it's a very, like I say, I think it's a very, we said it in our first impressions and in the review as well. It very much just is. It's a vibe game, you know. You can just sit down, hang out. Yeah, it's a very comfy game. So if you're after a comfy game that isn't a farm sim, because I see that's a lot of criticism. People are like, I like comfy games, but why are they all farm sims? Coffee Talk isn't, and you should go and play it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, the writing is really good too. Like the characters are all very likable.
Definitely. We should also mention that Horizon Forbidden West's Burning Shores expansion also came out in April. That was a video game thing that came out in April. And my review of that
Did
is...
Future Connected also come out
We'll
in April?
get to it.
Okay, sorry.
Wait your
you said
turn.
expansion and my brain went to Xenoblade.
Wait your turn. We'll talk about
What
the
a
worst
surprise.
expansion first. We'll talk about the worst
Kyle,
expansion
this is the
first.
500th time you've shown Xenoblade to the class.
Dude, maybe Xenoblade should stop being good. Then I'll stop talking about it.
But anyway, Horizon Burning Shores. I'll give it its 2 secs. I did do a review on it. It's up on the website and on YouTube. Thank you. It's all right.
It was all right.
It's more Horizon.
Yeah.
I think my review of it is, if we had the option of playing this or taking a year off of the release of Horizon 3, I would have taken the year off. Just and put everything into Horizon 3. Not because the expansion's bad. The expansion's good, but it doesn't do anything that we hadn't seen before. And the final boss fight, which was cool, didn't warrant just doing a whole expansion just for the sake of it.
Yeah, like the final boss fight feels like it could have still been its own really cool moment for them to do the same idea in the third game.
It also, like I say, it just feels like it feels like a whirlwind tour where it's like, I liked Seika, but the relationship just like that,
Yeah.
it went at the fucking pace of nothing. Like it was like they went from strangers to best friends within like the span of 45 minutes, and I'm like, I know it's an expansion, guys, but it's kind of, it was a bit too quick, and it
Yeah,
didn't
it
feel. I don't know why. At the end, we talked about this in the review. Did we talk about? Did we do a review or something of this? We talked about this at some point, or maybe we just
I
talked
think
about
you
it in
might have.
person.
You did the review. We talked about it like off air. I don't think we
podcast.
ever had like a proper conversation on
Very-
podcast
very-
after I had played it.
Very minimal spoilers for the ending of Burning Shores, if you don't particularly know that. But it's obviously it's this relationship between Seika and Aloy is played as a romantic interest. And it doesn't feel, it feels weird because we had the conversation of Aloy has always played herself as an outcast that doesn't warm up to people quickly. So to have this character dynamic be warming up extremely quickly and being like that, I'm like, you could have started teasing it and then fully committed to it in the third one. I felt like it was a bit too rapid, but you know.
I feel like the funny thing, in hindsight, looking at it, a little bit removed from it, is even if you do choose like the pro romance option there, it's still kind of the same result where she just pieces out anyway.
Yeah,
like, who
she still
knows if
pieces
Seika
out
will show
anyway.
up? It's like
You assume
it's
she
like-
will. You assume she will.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I had no problem with the romance itself. It just felt a bit too quick.
yeah,
it
like
just felt.
conceptually, it's a fine idea. It's just execution felt a little strange.
I loved the
considering how
internet.
she treats everybody else.
I loved the internet's take on it because, of course, everybody knows the character better than the actual
Oh, yeah.
developers and the
This
source
is
yeah, of
true.
course they do.
that was my favorite part, and I was just like, yeah, my problem was just how it was handled. I don't care in the slightest
Like,
about
hear me out.
what
If she had
Aloy's
just
relationship
buddied
is.
up with Talana for this, and that became, oh, we like each other, that would have felt pretty normal to me.
It's more of the meeting the outcast who has been extremely hesitant on everybody forever in both video games to then just very quickly warm up and open to somebody like that who they know for like a couple of days is very weird.
Yeah.
But hey, who knows? Maybe they'll expand on it in Horizon 3 when we see that at the end of the PlayStation 5's life cycle.
Yeah.
Who knows? It was fine enough. And then, we'll talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed, another expansion kind of video game, more standalone. Both me and Kyle played it. I reviewed it. That was during Ethan's fun time of having to back-to-back review things in the span of a week. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Can't wait to do it again in October. Good blooming hell. Anyway, what did you think of Future Redeemed in the end, Kyle? Looking back on it.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Every part of it was fantastic to me. And I thought Matthew was a super, super endearing protagonist. I think he's honestly one of the best the series
Matthew
has
is
seen
the
so
best.
far.
Matthew is the best protagonist out of all the Xenoblade games, which says something that he's only in a 25-hour kind of mini expansion. He's fantastic.
Just his dynamic with everybody is just, it's just super entertaining. And I love his and A's relationship.
I love a lot of it, right? I love a lot of it. I feel like I don't know if it's because of the times that we live in, where it feels like everything has to be a kind of throwback, nostalgia pan kind of thing. Like, I feel like we've been living in this fucking hellhole since Avengers Endgame, where everything has to be a throwback and a reference and all of that jazz. So to have Rex and Shulk come back,
we've been living in that environment since Star Wars.
Yeah, probably.
2015.
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like It's great. It's brilliant. I love it. I still love the original game more just because of it being new and having new characters and still having little throwbacks and stuff like that to it. But I felt like it was a bit more subtle. And it's like, I feel like it was a brilliant send off to this trilogy. I think it's brilliant. I love the characters. Um, Seeing Shulk and Rex again was an absolute joy. This made me like Shulk a lot more, seeing who he became. I still love Rex. Rex is still fucking incredible, and this just proved everybody else wrong. Fuck you, haters. We Rex stands. We
Honestly.
won. I love everything about it. I don't. It's like I look. It's just like this is a couple of things where I'm like, okay, I like Torna in more ways, in some ways more than I'd like this more, because when they go, whereas Future Redeemed kind of leans in more to the nostalgia and the old characters, Torna try and leans into expanding on the original story to make it even more heartbreaking than it originally was. Whereas this kind of doesn't, like, at the end of the day, this is more of a farewell to Rex and Shulk as much as it is hey, here's an expansion on the story of Xenoblade 3. But I still loved it. Monolith are still the GOATs in terms of developers for Nintendo. I still think they are the best developer that
Still
Nintendo
just
has.
holding Nintendo up on their shoulders.
It's still a 5 out of 5, and I'd 100% recommend, if you ever have the time. Hey, if you're having a drought in July and you are a Xenoblade fan, it's definitely worth your time. It doesn't outstay its welcome. I did everything in it. I did all the side quests, and it only took me 25 hours. So
I also did everything, and I very rarely do that with video games.
if you main quest it, you can probably finish it in about 12 to 15 hours. So, you know, it's definitely worth checking it out if you want to say farewell to Xenoblade in a proper way. Although saying that, how many times has a JRPG or something, or any video game for that matter, said, this is it, this is
Actually
bye-bye,
done. Yeah.
and then come back later? We shall see. I'll
Well, I
believe
mean, that's
it.
just the end of this saga.
Yeah, but
They're
they
gonna move
say
on to other
that.
stuff.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, what is the move on, Kyle? Is the
I don't
move
know.
on a completely fresh start, or is the move on a, hey guys, this is a new jumping in point, but we're still gonna have plenty of references and an occasional character might show up? You know, you never know what it is.
I mean, knowing Takahashi, he's probably just gonna make Xenogears again.
Fucking, I hope not.
That's what Xenoblade 3 was.
I know, but Xenoblade, this is the thing, right? Is no one would notice. Like, if you don't give a shit about Xenoblade, this is why we're not getting into this. But the reason I don't like Xeno fans is because they think everything is this mind game, third person 3D chess kind of magnum opus fucking cathedral of artwork, where I'm just like, I think the guys just want to make what they fucking want to make and have a good time making it and making a good story. Everybody overthinks it, and I'm just like, I don't give a shit if he's meta playing Xenogears into existence or again. I don't give a shit. I just want it to be fucking good, and I don't want people to scream at me on Twitter. That's all I fucking ask for, right? So
You can have one of those things.
yeah. So it's like, I would much rather they
In
just...
fact, he'd get the opposite. He could have none of those things. People will scream at him on Twitter, and maybe it'll be bad.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I hate when people do this, right? It genuinely pisses me off when you have something good and then people are just like, go back and do the other thing that was also fucking good. Go do that. I'm like, no! Be creative. If Xenoblade has been a fucking huge success, ride that wave into something fucking new. Don't ride that wave back into fucking shitville. Like, we'll go back to normal. That's what Hollywood's had the problem with, is all the fucking remakes and the re-releases and the sequels to old films that no one gives a shit about. I don't want Xenogears. I want them to make something Xeno new that's fucking
Gaming
fun.
fans as a whole tried to prevent Kojima from moving on from Metal Gear.
Dude, and it's like we have these fantastic remakes and stuff like that, but I also get sick of them a lot of the time because it is like stifling innovation and doing something new. When Hi-Fi Rush comes out, I'm like, fucking yeah, let's get it. Something fucking new. Hell yeah. I love a good sequel nowadays, and I love good stuff, but I also would pray. I just love creativity, and then for people to be like, hey, Xenoblade 1 through 3, been an absolute blast. We've had an absolute joy. There's been some references to the old. They've been doing something new. I'd like for them to keep doing that instead of just going back into the nostalgia bin, because I hate when people go back into the nostalgia bin every time. It's like, I'm sick of the nostalgia bin, bro. Kicking the bin over.
I mean, I don't think Takahashi and his team are the kind of people to just go back to the nostalgia bin unless they unless it was like warranted,
No, and I don't
like
think
without a purpose.
and I don't think they will.
Yeah,
I don't think you go to Nintendo. I don't think they're going to go to Nintendo and go, hey guys, you know that IP you don't own? We want to do something like that. And then, no. Because
Can
here's
we
the
get
thing.
Bandai Namco on the phone?
Bandai Namco are just going to remake the game themselves if they want a fucking remaster or a remake. They're just going to do it them fucking selves. You know what people
Yeah.
are like.
Yeah,
They're going to go and do it themselves. And to be honest, I feel like that's the bet. If you want to do something like that, let them go off. Let Monolith give their blessing or give feedback or work on it in that way. But don't take a good team who's been making some great new content and been helping with so much new stuff over at Nintendo as well. Don't go and take them off to go and do some fucking shite like this. It's like, the reason that people like the Resident Evil remake so much is because it's not taking away from new Resident Evil and the new team. Monolith has
Yeah.
one team to make on new content, basically. Let them make new content. Don't take them away, please.
in addition to all the other work that they do for
Yeah, 'cause
Nintendo's
yeah,
other games.
Because that's the thing, is they have one development team of people. People don't realize how small Monolith's team that make these video games actually is in comparison to other studios. It's not that huge, especially when you realize that a lot of their fucking developers are working on with the Zelda team, with the Splatoon team, with like everybody, because they've got their fucking fingers in so many pies, dude. They're, in between developing Xenoblade 2 and 3, they were working on Tears of the Kingdom, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Splatoon 3. I'm trying to think. They
There
work
was
on.
a fourth thing.
There's a fourth
51
thing.
Clubhouse games.
They
No.
work. Monolith works on so. Monolith Productions works on so many fucking things.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
No.
God, I wish.
Monolith Productions.
They apparently helped with Dirge of Cerberus. So that's funny.
That's funny.
Even dating back to the Wii era, they helped with Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Skyward Sword, Animal Crossing New Leaf, Pikmin 3, Link Between Worlds. I mean, they've
Yeah.
just been such a consistent development team.
And like
And
I say, man, let
just
them.
wanna see more stuff from
let
them.
them
Was
fucking
Kirby
cook.
the fourth thing?
I
I'm
don't
just
think
throwing
so.
out Nintendo games.
No.
I
that
don't
have
think, because Hell
happened.
works on that themselves, don't they? So,
Right.
but you know, let them fucking cook, guys. We don't. Here's the thing: we don't need a remake of every fucking video game. We just don't.
Unless it's like drastically different,
Yeah.
or they fix all the issues from
Because here's the
older
thing: I'm
games.
sure plenty of
'Cause
fans are like, I want to see.
don't take issue with someone remaking something that was almost good. Like where the potential's there, just needs a bit more polish. Xenosaga 1 and 2. I love Saga 1. That game aged like milk, and Saga 2 is not fun to play.
Yeah, but here's the
So if
thing,
those games
right?
come back, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Is people are gonna expect the reason they want that is because they just want the entire thing. They want what wasn't happened, what did happen, and then you've got to think about sunk cost fallacy, and you've got to be like, okay, we could remake these video games, or we could put the same dev time into an IP that we own, and could probably get more copies sold because they're building off of stuff, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
do we make it? Because it's like, if no offense to Xenosaga or Xenogears or anything like that, if it was on the level of something like a Resident Evil or a Final Fantasy, they would have remade it
would've
by now.
happened already.
Yeah. It's a smaller audience. Like, I think, isn't Xenoblade 2 Monolith's best-selling game of all time or something? Like, it's like, you know, it's weird, right? Like, that's like their best
Yeah.
game. And even then, it's a drop in the water for Nintendo fans, right? It's like, keep growing, dude, keep growing.
Mhm.
I just want them to make new stuff and make good stuff, because to me, remaking old games has gotten to a point where it's like, you can do it if you want. I'd rather you put those efforts into something new. And well, not just something new. Just do something new. I'm happy to live in the moment, dude. I'm happy to live in the moment. If I want to go back and play Xenogears or Xenosaga, I'll go back and do it one day. I don't care. And if they told me that it was
I would like for the ports. I would accept. Since,
Yeah.
You know,
Even just for accessibility.
apparently, trying to play Xenosaga would be an exercise in organ donation.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm keeping this kidney for Silent Hill 3 when I eventually break.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Uh,
But no, we'll
so
see.
Star Wars?
Star Wars, that came
Star
out.
Wars. Ah, yeah. So it's funny because I
Still
liked
haven't
it a
played it.
lot more. I thought it was going to be better than the other one,
Yeah.
and
I
it
think we all
was.
did.
But yeah, and it was. But I ended up liking it a lot more than I even thought I was going to. Like,
Mm.
I went into the week. I've thought about it since beating it, even through all the Zelda brain rot I've been incurring and whatnot. So I'm excited to see what they do afterwards. I think for being one of those kind of like action narrative adventure kind of driven games, there similar to like an Uncharted, I think it's better than an Uncharted. And does
Mm.
it certainly has a moment in the middle of the game that's better than anything Uncharted ever pulled off. Uh,
I think
so
it's
yeah,
interesting, right? I'm yet to play it. I will play it soon, probably. Um, I'm looking forward to playing it. It is like weird because it's like I put it in the similar vein of there's probably the middle chapter in the trilogy, right? And it's like you bring up the Uncharted kind of comparison, and it's like it's crazy to me because the difference between Uncharted and something like this, or like Uncharted and something like Final Fantasy VII's remake stuff like that, is the gaps between games now are so long that it's almost like a fucking epic trying to get through these like long like these trilogies of video
yeah,
games. It's
yeah.
like you got through Uncharted 1 through 3 from 2007 to 2011. Like we got through an entire trilogy of Uncharted games in the time that we'll get two of these Star Wars games, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it feels like an epic, and it's like Respawn is a really good developer. They always make some really good stuff. Um, but man, it's like it's crazy to me. That's why I've not been like in a rush to play it. Cause I'm like, I've got time, bro. We're not getting the third part
Yeah,
of
you
this
don't have.
series until like
I waited until
2026 at
this
the
year to play
earliest.
the other one. Like, I understand what you mean.
It's there. And I've heard nothing but great things. And trust me, I can't wait to go and play it. I love Cal. Cal's probably one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars
He's my
universe.
favorite Jedi.
Um, Cameron Monaghan is just he's a great actor. I like him quite a
Cameron
lot.
Monaghan's great. He's fantastic. I remember at like one of the Star Wars related press things, he was out there campaigning for the poncho. I'm like, it's hilarious that this is made. I'm like pleased that you're saying this, even though
I
I thought the
think
poncho was a bad look. But I like that you liked it so much.
he's like honestly like he's like it's him and like Cal Kestis and the Mandalorian are genuinely like the two biggest Star Wars things to happen in like the past decade, really. Because it's like when you think about it, it's like those two things changed Star Wars because the brand went down the shitter and those two kind of brought it back, which I like quite a bit. People don't. My favorite like random fact is like Galaxy's Edge, the theme park in the Star Wars theme park had like in 2018 was it 2020 was it 2020 or 2021 they had like a vote, a public vote where they were like, hey guys, because you can build your own lightsaber, and they're like, we're gonna let you buy lightsaber, we're gonna make one of these fucking lightsabers, and they listed like a load of classic characters, and like whichever one is the one that gets made. Who wins? Fucking Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
that's the level that they've done, where it's like the video game Jedi from the video game story is the one that's getting like all of that attention and stuff, and it's like it's great.
I mean,
Um,
he's the one who's got to do the most cool Jedi things between. I mean, I guess maybe if you watched all of the cartoon or something, maybe Anakin and Obi-Wan got to do some
or
stuff that was
Ahsoka
especially
or
cool.
something, yeah.
Yeah, or Ahsoka, but like he's got to do more cool Jedi things than anyone in the movies did.
To me, yeah. Like I know that they probably don't want to step on Respawn's toes, but I'm so surprised that Cal hasn't shown up in the extended universe yet.
I feel
Give it
like it's
time.
inevitable.
Especially because
Or
Cameron,
yeah,
it's just Cameron. It's just
Cameron
Cameron.
Monaghan's already, yeah, he's already like a screen actor on
Yeah.
TV and movies and stuff. So there's that, and like I feel like it is inevitable since he's very popular.
And it takes
But
place in the exact same timeline, same area as like the Mandalorian and stuff like that. Ahsoka are all taking place.
but I don't
You can,
want
I
him to
can see him
show
show
up.
up. I don't, but he will. He will at some point.
He will, but I don't want him to. I want them to leave him alone.
Hell yeah. But yeah, it's a great game. Hopefully they're still working on patching it, and we'll get all sorted soon. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, May. Again, we have got the two sides of the coin. For every Tears of the Kingdom, we have a Redfall. Redfall
Womp
came
womp.
out and damaged Xbox's brand to the extent where they had to go, "Hey, look at, please forget
Look at
it and
this.
remember Starfield."
Let us have Activision.
Yeah, look at
Look
this.
at what we're
Let us
making
have
without them.
Activision and look at Starfield, please. All I can really say about Redfall is, man, I'm really excited for Starfield. That's all I can say. What a mess of a video game. But luckily, we had some good shit in May. We had this little game called The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. We've talked about this game to death. It's a good game. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
There's a first impressions, there's a review, there's a spoiler cast. You could literally, there's hours of content on
The
this
Holy
game.
Trinity.
I don't know what else to say. The game, to me, it's like, that game's fantastic. It's brilliant. I have a lot of gripes with it. I have a lot of criticisms, mainly on the narrative point. How it's a sequel, yet doesn't even bother like linking Calamity Ganon to Ganon is a fucking myth to me. Where I'm like, you had one job, Nintendo. Why? There's so many things where I'm like, it's weird. Sometimes it treats it like a sequel. You have people like Hudson who obviously remembers Link, and you have a continuing storyline. You have other characters like Bolson who you can Hunter who decide
eliminate Hunter,
who can eliminate Hunter and destroy him.
Bolson, what'd I do to you?
But
I
yeah,
liked your quest.
but Bolson, who you
You were
also buy a
cool.
house from in the first game, doesn't even acknowledge like, oh, hi Link. Like, he just acts as if you're a random fucker. It's like, this game doesn't know what it's like. Half the people were writing it as if it was a sequel, and half the people were writing it as if, yeah, we're just gonna pretend that stuff didn't happen. And it was like, okay, weird. But other than that, it's a great game. Love it. Fuse is a brilliant mechanic. Ascend is all right.
Ultra Hand is
Ultra Hand's
spectacular.
spectacular. It is a great video game. We do love it.
Rewind is
But-
pretty cool too.
but is it as good as Lord of the Rings Gollum?
Well, I was gonna say Humanity also came out in that month, which Hunter's played a little
Oh,
bit of
yeah.
Humanity.
Humanity is a cool, chill little puzzle game. I was thinking about turning it on the other day after I finished Final Fantasy because I didn't really want to put my energy into another narrative thing at the moment, like Raincoat. I was like, I don't have the energy for this, especially if I did. It would have to be better than Raincoat probably will be for the next couple of hours. So I thought about turning Humanity on, but I didn't end up doing that. But yeah, it's a cool little puzzle game. I still am interested to play more of it at some point in this incoming 2 months of nothing.
Yeah, and as for Lord of the Rings Gollum, fucking hell.
So
What a
bad it
train
killed-
wreck.
They're like, oh,
killed Daedalic.
we tap out. We're just gonna publish things now.
Yeah, unlucky Daedalic. You know, you better luck
Yeah.
next time. But yeah. And that was May. It was mainly Zelda. And we've talked so much about Zelda that we don't need to sit here and gush about Zelda again. So, you know, we'll live.
That was a 3-minute segment.
Thank you. People are genuinely going to look in those timestamps and go, what the fuck? How did they talk about April for like 20 minutes and then talked about May for 3? It's because we have 6 million podcasts on Zelda. We've
Because
talked
there's like
enough
5
about
hours of Zelda content on the channel already.
We've talked
Yeah.
enough about it. Anyway, in June, there was quite a lot in June. Street Fighter 6 came out on June 2nd.
Treats.
Ah, yeah, Street Fighter was a fun time. That story mode was goofy and entertaining. The last two actual fights, at least for where I was, as far as I went and harassed people on the street quite a bit in Street Fighter. I was getting experience that was not in the main path, and even then, for what I was doing, the last 2 main story encounters were miserable. So
Epic.
I that wasn't great, but I had a fun time up to that point. Learning from it's very insubstantial as far as it was a good game to play or focus my attention to after Zelda because it was just kind of mindless. Just walk up to somebody, uppercut them, instigate a fight, and then kick them into submission. It was a lot of fun, didn't really need to think about it. I guess I kind of wish the arcade modes like things for the endings of the actual characters that you might care about when you buy the game were a bit more substantial.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they just kind of are this weird wheel spinning thing because they can't really do they can't have the characters do anything that big since they got a story mode, but then the characters don't actually participate that much in the story mode. They just kind of teach you moves.
Mm.
It's a bit strange, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the online end of things on this game is real good too. Like matchmaking is super quick. You're in if you just choose to auto queue, you're in and out of matches in like 20 seconds. There is virtually no downtime between matches, and once you're in matches, gameplay super smooth. I had zero issues with connectivity in like the 200 plus matches I did. Nah, Streets is good.
Oh yeah, the new control options are very beginner friendly.
That's true. Modern
Yeah.
and classic mode.
Yeah.
There's fun for everybody in Street Fighter 6. And it wasn't the only game that came out in June. It was a pretty big month, obviously. Diablo
Yeah.
4 came out. None of us played it. Sam played it. His opinions on that
But
game
he's
is
not here.
it's Diablo. I've heard that it's
Hell
just
yeah.
very. I heard it gets very grindy. Near the end.
That's the
But
world
people-
you live in with those games.
But
If
people
you-
seem to think
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
story's a lot
say-
better than
Hmm,
than 3. So
interesting. But I was gonna say, if you buy a Diablo game, you're probably expecting, your mouth probably waters at the thought of grinding at the end of the game.
who knows? Who knows? I will never know. I'm not a Diablo fan. Anyway,
Nope.
what I am a fan of, Crash Team Rumble came out June 20th, game of the century. That is a video game that was all right. The crashes are fixed mostly for the most part now, so the game is running. It's all right. It's fine. It's a multiplayer game. It's a multiplayer Crash game. Do I still think it'll be dead in a year? Yes, I fucking do. But hey, we'll have fun with that Spyro season, guys. We'll have fun with that Spyro season in September, and then we'll forget about the game forever.
Oh,
Peaking
seconds.
early. It's all good. And then obviously the big 3 final games that we'll talk about today. Number 1, Final Fantasy 16. Go on, Hunter. You, the floor is yours because I played the demo and Kyle played about 6 hours, so the floor is yours.
I really like this game. I think probably after finishing it right now, I'd say probably in the top 3.
Mm.
I can't say for certain that I like it more than 9 or 6. And because those are the only 2 I can't say for certain that I like it more than, it's in like a 3rd place there. Clive is the best protagonist in the series as far as what I've experienced. He is fantastic. I think the other characters around him are great. Sid is a jolly good fellow
I
to,
love Nathan Drake,
pal
dude. I
around.
love Nathan Drake.
to pal around with. The other side characters are all really cool too, as far as just the buddies you meet at Sid's hideout, or they get their own kind of development. So I remember one of the things we were talking about on the podcast was you were asking about the side quests, and I was like, they're all right, but I was kind of selling them short in the beginning. I feel like as I played more, the areas you visit and get side quests in, as you progress the main story, they get more stuff to do in them. So it's like
Fun.
you go back there and they kind of have their own continuing subplots for each little town, or for a bunch of the towns. I won't say all of them, and it's a really solid piece of writing there to make them all feel more substantial, and the more grounded tone that this game has from the rest of the series. I feel like it doesn't take itself so seriously that it's too depressing to get invested in. And I feel like it opens the way for some very sobering human moments when the story gets serious for it there.
Yeah, it's next on my list. Obviously, I played the demo. I liked what I saw. But man,
Does everything that I ask a Final Fantasy game to do. Cool characters, interesting world, crazy story.
hell yeah.
I think
Oh,
the gameplay's pretty solid too.
Yeah. Anyway, then final 2 games. Obviously, what a game! Everybody's 1-2 switch. What a fucking incredible.
I was sitting there thinking when you said 3, I'm like, what's this third one? Obviously,
Everybody
Final
want to
Fantasy and
switch.
Raincode.
Everybody want to switch. Um,
Ah,
that is a video game, and it is a video game. And then
it
finally,
is.
June 30th makes the cutoff. Master Detective Archives Rain Code, which our first impressions were of last week. And now that I've played the video game in its entirety, I can safely say I still feel basically the exact same way about it. Um, the characters are somewhat interesting. It just the pacing is so fucking bad in this video game. It's unreal. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a shame, right? Like there are some characters that I genuinely really like in this video game. In particular, I like the main protagonist. He's probably one of the best main protagonists out of these Danganronpa kind of video games that they've done. Mainly just because he's the
Yeah.
most bearable. Like he's almost, I think he's on the same level as me. To me, I always put Shuichi and Yuma. I'll put them in the same kind of place because they feel like they're actually like
Shuichi
Makoto.
actually had an arc, and
Yeah,
like
and they feel like they're
which
actually trying. Like they don't feel like somebody else is holding their hand through the whole of it.
Makoto could have been removed from Danganronpa 1, and the story wouldn't change.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Kyoko would have solved the mysteries.
Kyoko would have solved the
Yeah.
mysteries. 100%. But yeah, I feel like Yuma I like quite. I don't like his design, but I like him. He's a good character.
Yeah, his design is cool. His last name sucks, or his design isn't cool. He is cool. His last name sucks.
I like, without going into spoilers because I can't really say it, I like the main master detectives. They're all pretty cool. I
They
like
seemed
Chief.
real cool. I liked their vibe.
They all have nice arcs and they all end up being pretty fun characters that I like. I like Chief Yako quite a bit. He's really fun. He's like this kind of goofy, kind of older brother kind of character in the way that he's portrayed in the end. And he has a really interesting arc in the game, which I like quite a bit because I thought
From
he was
just
just
a
gonna.
little bit of him that I got, I really liked how he was like. I like how he's like, oh, doing good things, but then anytime he actually has to do something, he's like, oh no, aggressive cowardice.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
basically. And I like big shout out to whoever portrays a character you haven't met yet called Kurumi, who becomes a main kind of player that comes into it slightly later. I really like her. As in terms of kind of female secondary protagonists in these games, she is probably either my favorite or my second favorite. Oh no, I like a lot of them actually. Danganronpa always does a good job with their main female protagonists in these games, to be honest.
Yeah,
For the most
Kyoko.
part, Kyoko's fantastic.
Chiaki's
Chiaki
great.
is incredible. Maki is really cool.
Yeah, Maki's great.
Um,
Kaede was also really good.
Kaede is really good, and Kurumi continues that legacy of being very good. I like her
Not
quite a bit.
Danganronpa 3 Kurumi though. Not the same
No.
person.
Not Kurumi from Danganronpa V3.
When you were talking about who portrayed her, I almost said Kira Buckland just because that was who she was in V3.
Yeah, no, it's someone else, but I like her quite a bit. Like most of the characters I like, my main problems with Raincode is its pacing and its story, and its cases aren't too interesting. There's like 2 interesting cases in the entire video game, and when there's like 6 cases, that's not particularly great. One of them's really good though, and it's like I figured it out, but I was like, it's still fun to see it unravel, which was pretty good. Whereas a lot of them,
the thing is, that's like one of the main contrasts between, I believe, Danganronpa and Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney, it's not that hard to actually figure out the whodunit part of the process, but they do a really good job at making the journey to the proving it really fun. Danganronpa, however, makes that journey very difficult for you, and the twists and turns are kind of.
This is right. What I will say is the one compliment I can give this game is all of the quote unquote whodunits, all the murder mysteries, you can very easily solve with, apart from one uses a stretch in logic, which you could very easily go, actually, and break it. But for the most part, you can figure out who actually did it from the case. It doesn't do a Danganronpa where someone plays or interferes, or there's this random arbitrary bit of information that changes everything halfway through. For the most
Yeah.
part, they can all be solved. I overall, the second half of the video game is much better. I ended up, by the end of it, I said that I was like, if it doesn't get better, I would probably switch my review to a 3 out of 5. I am probably leaning more on a 4 than a 3 now, just because the characters were really strong. And I said it on stream, I think, and I think I've mentioned it to Kyle. If they did a sequel, I would probably play it, and I would hope that they would
Yeah.
fix the issues I have with the pacing and the gameplay, because what they have is, I don't hate what they have here, and they do kind of play it as a, well, I mean, obviously you're a detective who goes to a place. You could obviously have that detective go somewhere else and
Yeah.
solve other
It's
mysteries.
easy.
Um,
It kind of leaves us. I feel like conceptually, it leaves itself a little bit more open than the Danganronpa thing,
Yeah,
where it's like
100%.
we need a whole crew of students in a new school, and for some reason, the same bear is ruining their lives.
yeah, where I think you're gonna have Shinigami also gets better as the game goes on. She's less in your face later in the game,
That's good.
which is better. It's still there, and the fan service is still there, and it's still cringe, but it gets better throughout it. But yeah, I can 100% see it being a franchise where, you know, Yuma and Shinigami and other character who I shall not name because I don't want to spoil anything for Hunter will continue to be in it, and then they swap out the master detectives and change it in that kind of way, like the other people that are in it. Not to say anything happens to them or whatever. Who knows what happens in this video game? I ain't telling. But that kind of seems like the idea. You've played through some of it. You kind of get the basis that each detective's going to be a chapter.
I
So
get
it's
the
like,
notions of what you're putting down.
yeah.
Here.
It's a fine enough game. I would probably give it a 4 because I'd feel harsh giving it a 3 because it's not that bad. But my God, the first half does deserve a 3. Whether the first half is worth going through to get to a couple of good cases at the end, that's for you to decide.
Depends on how much you like these kind of games, probably.
Yeah, like I know Sam said that he wasn't going to play it because of what we said, and I probably would go back to him and say, you know, you probably would still like it. You might as well, like,
You probably
if it goes
would
on
still
sale,
like
give
it,
a
but
go.
also that silly sausage has not played Nirvana Initiative yet.
True, you can wait and play that.
So priority check.
True, you've got a great point there. You got a great point. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is every game that's come out so far. We're gonna quickly wrap it up we've talked about them, we've vibed with them. We're gonna quickly say what our favorites are of the year so far. Because why not? I'll go first. Why not? I've got my top 7 here. Because anything else I played, I either forgot or doesn't deserve to be on here. So currently, in my top 7, I have number 7. I have Master Detective Archives Raincoat. That is my number 7. Number 6 is Coffee Talk 2. Those two could very much be interchangeable depending on how I'm feeling. There are some really strong points of Raincoat where I'm like, actually, it probably would be higher. But then there's also some really low points where I'm like, no, Coffee Talk 2 was short, so you win. So those two are interchangeable. 5, Crash Team Rumble.
Coffee Talk 2 was also consistent.
True. But there were some really funny moments in Raincoat. There were some really good moments in Raincoat. There's just a lot of bad moments.
I look forward to getting to them.
Maybe you will one day. Like I say, the dynamics between the characters are fantastic in that game. The pacing's just dog. That's what it is. The characters are fantastic. Pacing awful. Crash Team Rumble number 5. 4 for me was Resident Evil 4. Again, fantastic. Number 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed. Remember, these will change. This is fun because this year you'll be able to then go to our Game of the Year and see how it's fucking changed. Because who knows? Maybe I'll hate Resi 4 by the end of this year. I will really love Raincoat and it'll be up there. Who knows? Anything.
Ethan is prone to like months removed mood swings on games.
Oh, I'm 100% feeling that. I like Raincoat now more than it's done than I did before.
He had to really debate with himself last year if he liked Horizon.
Still,
I'm like, you did.
You did. We've got you on tape. We know you did. Stop acting. But yeah, 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed, fantastic. Number 2, Hi-Fi Rush. And for me, number 1 still at the moment is The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Kyle, over to you.
All right. So I just put my top 5 because Ethan said make a list of 5, and I follow my directions.
Yeah, but then I realized I only played 7, so I just added the other 2 in.
And these are the
Anyway.
only ones I really finished this year. Street Fighter 6 is at the bottom of my list. I enjoy the game, but I don't know. I enjoyed what I played of it, but Street Fighter isn't really for me. It's just a bit too slow for what I like in fighting games.
Yeah.
Next up, Tears of the Kingdom. I liked the game, but sometimes I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that just thought this game was okay.
You're not alone.
I know I'm not, but the way Twitter bums this game, like, and I know Twitter's not the world, but
Remember, yeah, Twitter is a little
yeah,
minute
Twitter's a cesspool.
microsystem, yeah.
It's
Especially
just
the past couple of days.
good
Yeah.
lord, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Tears, it's a fine little video game. It didn't, and again, like, I guess for people who didn't know, I was someone who didn't play the first game, Breath of the Wild, because it didn't look like it would appeal to me. But played Tears, and I said, I can't imagine having to play in Hyrule twice. God
Especially
help
if it's
you all if it comes back for a third time.
Well, I've
That
said
would
it-
just truly
I
be
will
unfortunate.
I've said it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You have 2 options here. You either you bring back this Link and Zelda and send them to somewhere new, or you give us a new Link and Zelda and you still send us to somewhere new. I don't want to see Hyrule's stupid fucking face next time around. That's all I'm saying. You can't swap
Please.
where the volcano and the fucking desert is and go brand new game. You're not fooling me. No, thank you. But anyway, carry on.
Anyways, my number 3 is the Resi 4 remake. I played Resi 2 and 3 remake last year. Loved those games, and shock of all shocks, one of the greatest video games ever made, remade, is still one of the greatest video games ever.
It's very good.
Resi 4, good fun
Good
time. Number 2, Xenoblade 3, Future Redeemed. Even the fact that it's an expansion, like, disregarding that, I still probably wouldn't put it in my number 1.
I
Like,
just want to say this, Nintendo. You're putting physical copies out there of Pikmin 1 and 2. Fucking make a physical of this, I swear to
please,
God. Like, what you doing?
please, I need another thing
Please.
for my shelf.
Yeah, same. It annoys me that it's not a physical. Anyway.
Yeah, he went so shelf space filling crazy that the man bought a copy of DMC2 for the PlayStation 2.
God.
No, Hunter. I bought the whole trilogy.
Well, yeah, but
Don't omit that detail and make me sound like a fucking madman.
my favorite part of earlier this week was just getting a picture of the inside of the case and be like, this game had 2 discs. And I was like, it sure did, buddy.
I'm like, there's no way this game has enough content for 1 disc, let alone 2. Speaking of 2, my number 1 is Octopath 2. I have not had as much fun with the game this year as I did with this game.
Hell yeah.
And truly, looking ahead, it'll be a miracle if this game gets dethroned.
I return your wrath twofold.
I return your wrath twofold.
Hell yeah, bro. Anyway.
Great game, great music, love the characters. Play Octopath 2. I made a
And
review that
Hunter,
popped off.
you round
and
us
then
out
got
with
dethroned by
whatever the
Ethan.
fuck your list is, dude.
Yeah, dude, what the
is
hell?
this?
Hunter wrote
Yeah.
a whole
So,
fucking
decent.
bibliography.
Yeah.
Ethan just started listing off all the games he had, and I didn't really know the format
I
of
went
what
to
how this was
7,
gonna
dude,
go.
not 11.
I was like, okay, I'll list everything I played that's new so far too.
Okay,
But I'm
rapid
just gonna,
fire it. Rapid fire
no,
it.
no, no. I'll just go from 5 because I
Okay.
didn't specifically order them after that. I just kind of indiscriminately picked them off of my document.
Fair
Yay.
enough. Fuck you, Dead Space. Get in the bin.
Oh,
No
yeah.
shout out for you.
It was great, but in preference of I wanted to pick between that and Resident Evil for the slot of remade thing. Anyway, 5, I have Coffee Talk 2. I really liked the writing and characters in that game. It was a pleasant old time. Thank you for the review copy.
Oh yeah,
Toge
thank
Productions.
Oh, yeah.
I paid for that. Shouldn't say like that. I shouldn't say that like I'm a dick, do I? It was worth the money,
Yeah,
but I could have played it on
bought
Game
too. I
Pass.
bought it
I
for
could
a
have,
friend
yeah.
after I got
I
my
could have
review
played it
code.
on
I was
Game
like,
Pass,
"Here
but I
you
bought
go."
it on PlayStation.
I also have a disc incoming at some point with the first game, hopefully sometime this summer. maybe it'll still hit in the gap so I can play them both again. That'd be cool. Anyway,
Crazy.
Resident Evil 4, at number 4, because, like Kyle already mentioned, one of the best games ever is still one of the best games ever when they remake it with some polishing and mechanics and a story that makes sense.
It's that good of a year, though.
Yeah. Then at number 3, in favor of, Hi-Fi Rush is something new. I already liked Resident Evil. Of course, I was going to like
for you,
the
Jeff.
remake
Coming
again.
for you. You better make the right decision. In December, Jeff, you better make that right decision, I swear.
Jeff never makes the right decision.
He did last year. Xenoblade 3 got a norm. Come on, Jeff, do it again.
But yeah,
I'm still
Hi-Fi
bitter
Rush,
about the whole Guilty Gear thing from a couple years ago, though.
You gotta let that one go. You just gotta let
I'm
that one
not.
go.
The same year, Erica Lindbeck omitted from Best Performance because Tales of Arise was an anime game, and those have a ceiling for critical reception.
Yes.
She one was fantastic. Anyway, Hi-Fi Rush, great new concept for a game. It's honestly shocking that hack and slash and rhythm didn't get mashed up in some spectacular fashion like this sooner.
It is crazy.
I would play a sequel in a heartbeat.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Number 2, Final Fantasy 16. Still stirring on this one at the moment, but it's pretty firmly. The gap between 2 and 1 is wide, even for as great as Final Fantasy 16 is. Like I said earlier, top 3 of the series. Clive is fantastic. Liked the gameplay quite a bit, and the characters and world. It achieves everything I want a Final Fantasy to do for me. And then number 1 is Tears of the Kingdom.
Shock.
Yeah, Legasp. I've spoken for hours about it already.
And here's the thing, right? It's obviously these, like I say, subject to change. But it's most of the time when we get to this point, we got to this point last year because we had already had the second half of last year was pretty light in terms of there was some big releases, but most of them, for the most part, it was God of War. There was can't remember, Game of the Rats, Plague Tale.
Plague Tale, yeah, that was great. I liked that. Yeah, 2 of my top 3 were in.
There's a couple, but most of the time it's if you've got a top 5 here and it's 6 months in, a lot of the time, because the big hitters are usually either in the first half and second half. Usually we get to the point here where you can expect 3 or 4 of these to be in it by the end of the year. There's that much stuff still to come this year. We could have we could have that many great games here that the whole thing could just shatter, and it'd be you never know, because it's like I say, you've got so many massive, huge games. October's chocked full of video games coming out. We got
Alan Wake, Spider-Man.
You've still got, like I say, Nintendo's got some stuff still coming out. There's a brand new 2D Mario. We've got Spider-Man coming out. We've got Starfield coming out. We've got all the stuff from third parties. There's so much stuff.
There's still some really cool stuff in the indie space to come, too.
There is.
Allegedly this year, like Viewfinder and Plucky Squire and Gumbrella. All of those.
The 1% chance of Hollow Knight shadow dropping one day. Who knows?
Yeah. All of those look great, so...
There is genuinely so much stuff still to come, so there's plenty to be going on about, just not in July.
Armored Core for the mech nerds.
Armored Core, that will exist.
I have to buy Mortal Kombat instead of Lies of P.
We've got the video game equivalents of doing our taxes still to come this year, obviously.
Oh,
we've got the Assassin's Creed, we've got the Call of Duty.
At least this is where you paid somebody to do it this time.
Yeah.
Since Assassin's Creed is shorter.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Assassin's Creed. I genuinely can't wait. You don't understand how the trailer that they released this week, they released another video, and when they said to me, they were like, "There's no XP. Your experience is gained from progressing the story." I'm like, hallelujah, thank God for that. I'm so sick of XP bars in single player video games that don't need them. I was like, oh my God.
The tax metaphor is for the newer games in the Assassin's Creed series, right?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like
that is doing your taxes.
I feel like for you, this upcoming Mirage game is going to be, the metaphor is like a meal from McDonald's.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be junk food, and I'm going to love it, dude. It's going to be that. Yeah. It's going to be a McNugget share box. I'm going to feel guilty about eating, though. I'm going to fucking love every bite, dude. Every fucking nugget. gonna be
Yeah.
great. It's just a little bit, dude. It's like when they said that Armor Die's coming back, and it hasn't been in the game since Brotherhood, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, I remember
Why'd
that.
they get rid of that?
Remember when you could change the color of your outfit for fun?
Yeah, that was cool. Why'd
And
they
not
get
in the
rid of that?
microtransactions shop or whatever. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why they got rid of it.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, it's great. And then I can't wait for them to go back literally the next year, because you can guarantee Red will be probably next year, and they'll be like, there you go, back to fucking Grindfest, but it'll be feudal Japan, and we'll be there anyway, because
And
we'll be
everybody
like,
likes Ghost of Tsushima,
yeah,
so
can't be. Yeah, but here's the thing, right?
Everybody.
I've said this before. If they literally just say to you, if they go, "Welcome to Assassin's Creed Red," you play a ninja. I'm like, fucking, there's the money. Give me the game. You've won me. Ghost of Tsushima can fuck off. That's what I wanted originally from this. Was I wanted to jump on buildings
well, that's what I
and
wanted.
stabby
But then I
stab.
got it.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, too samurai. Like samurai, boring, bro. Cringe. I want to jump on rooftops. I want to be
becomes
Ryuichi
very
Cooper, dude. I
ninja-like.
want to fucking Yeah, but they stuck you on an island with nothing on it, dude. I want like proper feudal Japan, like shrines and all kinds of stuff. I want it to
Yes, you got a
feel,
point there.
yeah. I want to feel
Like going
like a
into
ninja.
like feudal manor or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Climbing
Like,
up on the cool like
I'm
the
genuinely
architecture with the layered
picturing
building,
Yeah.
the slanted layered
the
roofs.
red roofs and all that. I'm picturing like Ryuichi Cooper Sly vibes. That's what I'm picturing. Like, I want that kind of stuff, you know? That's what I want.
I had to go
Um,
into that one level in Mario Odyssey where Bowser was just entered
Yeah,
his weed
yeah.
phase.
The Bowser Kingdom
Yeah.
from Mario.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that.
We're on the same page. We won't get that. We'll get a boring XP fest, but we can dream while we're still
Probably,
here.
but that's why that's like unless like a lot of people tell me that Red is like super great, I'm still gonna just probably hold off until the Witch Trials one, because
XA. Yeah.
the chances of me being willing to play the Witch Trials one if I try this Ninja one and am burned by it drop, and I feel like Witch Trials is more my speed, even as cool as ninjas are.
I've said it before, and I've said it again. It'll be the biggest L in video game history if they make an Assassin's Creed set in the Witch Trials and the assassin
And that's
is not
the
female. Yeah.
character. Yeah.
I swear to God, it'll be the biggest L that I've ever seen if they do the dual protagonist thing where it's like, you can be either. I'm sick of Ubisoft doing that. Stop doing it, you little shits. Stop it. Stop making a female character and then going, people don't like playing as women. They want to play as a guy, so let's just force a guy character in as an option. Stop it. Bad Ubisoft. Stop it. I hate it. Anyway, we're done. See you next week, guys. We're going to talk about these games again anyway next week, because we're going to talk about everything that's to come in 2023. There's a lot. If you thought this episode was quite long, wait till you see next week where we spend 45 minutes on October.
Back in an hour.
Yeah. Oh well. It is what it is, really, when you think about it. Well. It's fine. Links are on screen now, maybe? Let's see. Will it work again? No? Cool. Whatever. Links aren't on screen. You can do one. Just look on the description. I've killed them. They're broken. They're dead. It's fine.
Am I right, Kat?
You know where to find us. We're on Twitter. You can keep up to date with us there. And you can go follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly if you want to go and do that too. We'd appreciate it. Anyway, we have left Jack for too long. We abandoned him to record this podcast, so we're going to go now. And maybe he's still there, maybe he's not, maybe he's asleep. Who knows? But anyway,
He's
we'll be
probably asleep.
hell yeah. We'll find
That's my
out.
guess.
Anyway, that's all for this week. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, to talk about everything that's happening for the rest of the year. It'll be a fun time. I hope you join us. But until then, have an awesome week. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Hootaloo.